and welcome to Hammered Dulcimer Basics, your quick guide to understanding how your hammered dulcimer works. Now, some years ago, John Corbin and his wife Jan were performing on the hammered dulcimer out at Silver Dollar City. And like a lot of people, I knew what a hammered dulcimer was, but I really didn't understand how they worked. So John was kind enough to take a little time and just show me a few simple things that not only helped me to understand how the dulcimer is set up, but it also made it really easy to learn how to play. So I'd like to share some of those simple teachings with you on this little instructional DVD. So pull up your dulcimer, grab your hammers, and let's get started. Now, when I first saw the hammered dulcimer, I think like most people, I assumed when you went to play a song, you had to work that whole box. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not even going to try that. That looks way too complicated. So I didn't even attempt the hammered dulcimer. Well, as I said, John was performing at Silver Dollar City at the time, and he was the one that showed me these simple things that helped really break the hammered dulcimer down and make it a smaller instrument, and simpler. Now, the first thing is when we understand this, that the hammered dulcimer is set up in sections. It's set up in keys. So you're only playing in one section, basically, of the instrument at a time, depending on what key the song is in. And that's what these little white markers are doing for us. They're showing us where our different keys are at. So when we don't need the note charts anymore, it's real easy to see where our keys are at. So we start on the first white marker on the right side of the bridge, and that is going to start our scale. Do, re, mi, fa. When you hit that second white marker, we switch to the left side to finish the other four notes of the scale. So we start on that right side, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Now the note that we started and ended on is letting us know what key that is. So we started and we ended on a D, so that lets us know if we play in this section, we're playing in the key of G. And I got my little song card in the way, but the same token up here, we move up here to this one right here. We start and we end on a G, so that lets us know if we play in that area, we're playing in the key of G. So right there, that simplifies the hammered dulcimer a bunch when you realize you're not working the whole box all at once, trying to find your tune throughout all those strings. Now you're only working, instead of 40-some strings, basically you're working with about 8 to 10 strings is all you're concerned with. And now, going to play a song, when we're first learning how to play the tune, basically it's kind of like just picking out a one-finger song on a piano. But of course, instead of our finger, we're going to be using our mallet. Now, first of all, in holding the mallet, and by the way, there'll be different kinds of mallets as well too. Different builders and different players like different styles of mallets, and regardless of whatever this end of it looks like, pretty much the handles are all fairly similar. So on holding a mallet, basically all you do is your pointy finger will go underneath the curved part right there, your thumb over the top, hold it as loose as you can without dropping it, and then that way the weight of the mallet takes over it and does all the work for us. And the tighter you hold it, the more rigid it'll be, and the less clean the sound will be. So hold it just as loose as you can, without dropping it, basically, is what I always say. Okay, we're going to just do a little bit of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Now, just to let you know, although you can learn the hammered dulcimer by a number system, most of the books will teach you by notes. But they do go ahead and write the name of the note underneath it. So in other words, you still don't have to know music when you use those books. Now, the reason why they got away from the number system is because at first when everybody did a number system to play hammered dulcimer by, it seemed like every writer had their own number system. So every time you switch books, you had to change your number system. Now, for simplicity's sake, I'm doing this song with number system, but more to show you how those different keys work and the advantage and that you get with the hammered dulcimer set up the way it is. So we're going to just play this tune that everybody knows, Mary Had a Little Lamb. We're going to start off with our first mallet. Like I say, it's going to be just like we're one-finger piano playing, but we're going to use our mallet instead. So if your hammered dulcimer isn't numbered, the way I got this numbered to play by my number system right here is the first note, D, is number 1. The second note, E, is number 2, F sharp is 3, G is 4, and then A would be 5. And so if you wanted to number yours to follow longer, I'm sure you can probably just even do this tune without it once you just understand that. So Mary Had a Little Lamb. We'll start at 3. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 5, 5. 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1. So learning the melody, as I said before, is just like sitting there one-line piano playing. Now, after you get the song figured out, you're going to want to start adding a little harmony to it so it doesn't sound like you're doing just a one-finger piano song. So the first harmony they'll teach us in the book is what's called a drone harmony, like the mountain dulcimer uses, or a bagpipe uses for that matter. And what the drone harmony is whatever key you're playing in, the first marker on the right, on the white marker, on the left side of that marker is the 5th note of the key. So that is the note that will drone with anything you're playing in that key. So once we learn where the song is, and we want to start adding harmony to it, we just keep playing that drone note with it, and it's on the left side of that first white marker. And as you see, it'll add harmony and sound good to whatever you're playing. But if you're like me and didn't have a lot of rhythm with it, or coordination, whatever you want to call it, with my left hand, you're not required to do a whole lot with that left hand yet. And matter of fact, right at first, since I had no rhythm at all in the left hand, instead of trying to do any kind of alternating pattern, basically I just played it at the same time. Every time my right hand went down to play a note, I let my left hand drop down to do that drone in there. And then once you get more used to using that left hand, you know, you can start doing alternating rhythms and what have you, just to where it feels good and sounds good to you. Now, one of the things that the beginner book will do to teach you how to get that left hand working a little bit better is when they first start off teaching you just the single melody, because before you try to add harmony at all, you want to make sure you know that song good. You know, that way you're not trying to do too much at once. So you want to know the song well. So even though you could learn that melody with just the one mallet, what they have you do, the exercise in the beginning of the beginner book, is they have you alternate left and right-handed. So you're not only learning where your song is, but you're also getting used to using that left hand. So when it is time to add the harmony in there, you know, it's a little more natural feeling for you to progress to that. Now, let's get back to talking about the keys. With those little white markers. Now, here's the neat thing about the way they set up the Hammered Dulcimer. Because you may be thinking at this point, well, why did they put 4 of the notes on one side and 4 on the other? Well, there's 2 reasons for it. One of the reasons is it allows you to get more keys without just making the box huge, because you get half the notes here and half the notes there. So if we put just all the notes on one side, we might only be able to get 1 or 2 keys out of it instead of 3 keys like we are right here. The other thing it does is it makes it super easy to play the same tune in a different key without even having to know anything about music theory or transposing music. And that's the reason why I just wanted to use this number system for this song, just to show you the patterns. Okay, Mary Had a Little Lamb, when we played it, technically we was playing it in the key of D, and it started on the 3rd string of our scale, 1, 2, 3. And that's where we learned how to play the song, was technically in the key of D. But now we're going to go play with somebody. And they go, well, we don't sing that in the key of D, we sing it in C. And you have to think, oh, how do I play in C? Because I learned it in D. You don't even have to worry about it. Just move up to the C area. And if the song started on the 3rd string when you down here, it'll start on the 3rd string from the first white marker up here. And once again, the drone is to the left side of that. So now we can quickly play in the key of D, or key of C, I'm sorry, without even having to know what notes belong in the key of C. They want to sing the same song in the key of G. We move down to our G area. There's our first white marker, 1, 2, 3. So that's the neat thing about the way they set it up, because it not only allows you to get more keys in this small compact size, but it also allows you to play in a whole new key than you learned the song in without even having to stop and think about what notes belong in that key, or to even have to know what notes belong in that key. Now, if we was playing by ourselves, I mean, technically, we wouldn't even need all these strings. We could more or less play most everything just in this one little area right here and get any tune we wanted out of this one little area right there. And but the reason why the other strings are there is so when we play with other people, we can play more than just the key of D. Now, another little helpful hint. You have two different bridges on your hammered dulcimer. You have what's called the treble bridge, and you have the bass bridge. Of course, the bass bridge is the one that has your low notes on it, and the treble bridge is the one that has your higher notes on it. Now, if you notice, the strings, like from the bass bridge, they run underneath. So when you're over here playing the higher notes, there is no way that you can accidentally hit those low notes to get a sour note. And vice versa, the high notes are running underneath, so when you're over here playing the lower notes, there's no way you can accidentally hit the wrong string. And that's why you want to stick closer to the bridge when you're playing, because you get out in the center where they do crisscross, then you can accidentally hit the wrong string. So you want to stick closer to the bridge. Now, one or two things. You can use your bass bridge to just provide low notes for this key that you're playing in, like Amazing Grace. It needs a lower note down there, so if we go straight across, that'll provide the low notes for this key. Or you can actually use your bass bridge as a whole nother set of keys if you wanted to. Because if you start on that white marker, we got our do, re, mi, fa. Now, since your bass bridge only has one side of it, they've set it up to where the right side of this scale will finish it off. So your bass bridge can either be used for one or the other, just to provide low notes for the key you're playing in over here, or to provide a whole extra key for you to play in. So instead of a high G, you can also play a low G now as well too. And so basically that's the idea. Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out as well too. Talking about the string height. At first, even though when you're looking at it, you know, and paying attention, you can see that these ones are running underneath and these are up higher. But right at first, you might have trouble getting your depth perception. So this is another thing John told me as well too, that instead of trying to look at the string right at first, so if you're having trouble seeing the correct string, instead look over here at your bridge. And it makes it a little bit easier to see the string you're actually wanting to play when you're looking at the bridge instead of out here in the string where the strings do crisscross. That'll make it a little bit easier so you can see which note you're actually aiming for. Now, it won't take very long. You will get your depth perception down to where that won't be a problem. But right at first, that is a little helpful hint. You know, aim at the bridge with your eyes instead of on the string itself, and it'll help you see them just a little bit better. Well, that's basically all the basics of the hammered dulcimers for learning to play. Now, if you want to pause the DVD at this point and do those things a few times in repetition, get used to them, then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to add just even a little extra harmony to it than what we've been doing. Okay, now that you've had a chance to work on what we've done to this point, you know, getting your melody down, adding the drone, and then maybe even you've had a chance to play the same tune up in the different keys, just to give you the idea of how the patterns work the same. Now, that's basically how they're going to teach every tune in the Mountain Dulcimer book. They're going to, first of all, have us do our melody. Then after you learn the melody, they're going to have us start off with a simple harmony like the drone. Now say though, you've gotten to the point where you're feeling comfortable doing that. You're feeling comfortable doing your melody, adding the drone, and you get to certain points in the song where your ear is kind of telling you, you know, right there, I want something a little bit better. I want a little bit better harmony than that drone in this spot. Well, the next harmony they teach us is a third. And what a third is just wherever your note is, if you just skip one string down, that's your third. Anywhere you go on the hammered dulcimer, just skip a string, you got a third. So you're sitting there playing along, doing your drone, you get to those spots where you feel like you need a better harmony, just pop in a third. you go. That just skipping a string will give you a third. And that's basically the progression you do for every song. Okay, tuning the hammered dulcimer. Now, the nice thing is, all the hammered dulcimers as well, they are well-made instruments, and they do hold their tune well. But eventually, of course, there's going to come the time you're going to have to tune your hammered dulcimer, especially if you tote it around a lot, take it indoors, outdoors, and so forth. Now, with multiple string instruments like the hammered dulcimer, personally, I don't even try to do it by ear. I just go right directly to my electronic tuner. But if you have an ear for it, or if you want to use a piano, you can sure do so. Now, the note charts that are underneath, they'll let you know what the notes are supposed to be. So you know that with the note chart, with the D underneath your note chart, you know that that string is supposed to be a D. Well, if you have another instrument, piano or whatever to tune to, you could hit the D on the piano and tune it to match by ear or a pitch pipe. But if you do want to get real lazy about tuning, these electronic tuners are great. And there is a whole nother section on using an electronic tuner, but I'll briefly give you the idea. Now, your hammered dulcimer also comes with a tuning wrench, like so. And sometimes they'll be L-shaped, sometimes a T-handle shape. Different people like different things. And then your tuning wrench is what you put on your zither pin tuner over here. And so we're going to turn on our electronic tuner. We pluck the string, and it tells us what note we heard. Now, we know the D is the note we're looking for, but just to give you an idea how it works, I'm going to pluck the wrong string. Okay, D is what we're looking for, but say it lights up a C sharp instead. Well, you just keep turning the knob until you would see the D note come on. Now, once you know you're the D, you got the D on, you know you're close. So once we got the right note appearing in our screen, then we look to our little needle readout. Now, I'm going to purposely tune him down just a little bit. Okay, so now the readout, it's showing me I am a D, but I'm a little low. We want that readout to get dead center where the green light is. And so we just keep slowly turning until the needle gets dead center and we're a perfect pitch. Now, if we go too high, I'm going to purposely do that, go a little too high, and it gets into the yellow. That means we're still a D, but we're not perfect pitch. So we come on down till we get that needle just dead center. Now, you can zero it in like I did with that one and get a perfect D out of it. But if that needle is even just close, like if it's just one notch to the left or one notch to the right, that's going to be close enough your ear won't know the difference. So electronic tuners definitely do take all the guesswork out of tuning. Now, one more thing I wanted to talk about, and that was the different sizes of hammered dulcimers. As we said before, the hammered dulcimers are set up in keys. And that's the reason why what we call 12-11 hammered dulcimers or 13-12s are the most common size, because they're a good range of keys, but yet they're still nice, small, and portable. Now, then you'll see numbers like 16, 15, like on this Dusty Strings down below me. Now, what we do on a 16-15 is we take a 12-11, and and it's got all the keys up here that a 12-11 has. Well, then they go ahead and they add 2 more keys in. And one of the keys happens to be the key of A down here. So if you do play in the key of A a lot, well, it makes it kind of handy that the key of A is built in to play easily just like the other keys. Now, we can still play the key of A, for example, on a 12-11 hammered dulcimer. It's just not blocked out in that handy little format. So when we want to play the key of A over here, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, the notes would go 1, 2, then we'd go 4, and then 2 more. So we can still play songs in the key of A. You'd have to just think about it a little harder. So that's where the 16-15 comes in. It blocks in 2 more keys. You got the key of A and an extra low D. And so if you use those 2 keys a lot, well, then it makes it handy. And or some people, even though they may not use the key of A a lot, they just like the tone you get from the bigger box, But that's the difference between a 16-15 and a 12-11 model, a standard 12-11 model. Like I say, you can still play anything you want on either one. It just gives you a few more keys that you can play in. And then we have, John was pointing out the chromatic to me over here. Now, what the chromatic does, you have your regular 16-15 like that Dusty Strings, but then it even adds some extra sharps and flats. Like, for example, there are some sharp and flats that you have in the higher register, but not the lower register, and some in the lower register you don't have in the higher register as well. So by adding those extra sharps and flats, basically, you can pretty much play any song in any key in any octave range that you want to play it in. And so that's the advantage with the full chromatic. And where that comes in really handy is if you do play with a group or an orchestra and you need to play the music exactly the way it's written, the full chromatic version is going to allow you to do that more often that way too. Well, basically, that's what there is to understanding the basics of learning how to play the hammered dulcimer. Hope you have a lot of fun with it. And as always, if you have any further questions, feel free to call us at our shop, 417-334-1395, our shop in Branson. Or you can visit us on our website, www.cedarcreekdulcimers.com, or you can email us at info@cedarcreekdulcimers.com. Have lots of fun.